All right, so today I want to talk about the age old argument: commission versus fee from your financial advisor. What's better? What's the better deal? Because that's all people really want is the better deal. People lose sleep thinking they're not getting the best deal possible at all times. And this fee versus commission question will factor in inevitably to some of these people. So let's find out. What's better, fee versus commission? I'm going to give you the short answer. There's pros and cons to both. They both have their place. The way I do business as a financial advisor, as a fiduciary, involves both. But let's hear it from Tony Walker Financial. Go check this guy's channel out. He's kind enough to have the whiteboard out and do all this so I can just react to it and give you the highlights. So show him some love. But let's get into this. Let's find out what's better, commission or a fee.
First of all, a fiduciary who does advertising. Basically, this show is used to market our services. We're doing educational information, but we're also advertising our services. So there is nothing wrong with any fiduciary out there on TV or radio or the internet advertising their services. But here's the rub. Whenever a fiduciary, let's say in this example a fee-based fiduciary, starts dogging commission products and making it sound like anybody that sells a commissionable product, which we do, is not a fiduciary, well, that's just wrong.
That's true. That is incredibly true. For whatever reason, there is this stigma within the financial community that somehow fees are more just innately altruistic and trustworthy than commission. No. Now, it doesn't mean you don't want a fee, but let me tell you something real quick. Let me give you the secret. And you could probably look into this and find, at least anecdotally, this same observation in your own life. Fee-based advisors all retire, the good ones, all retire like in their 50s, right? I know several, just in town here, that they retire and they end up with like a BMW sports car and 2 houses, and they sell their book of business for a ton of money, and like they retire early. Commission advisors that I know are working into their 80s, right? I don't know too many fee-based advisors still at it in their 80s. But people who have to go get their commission, they don't get that kind of they don't get that early retirement. I wonder why. Because you'll always hear that commission costs more, commission people make more money, but fee-based advisors are the ones who retire early, in my experience. And I've been around this since I was 14. I've been doing this for a living for past 7 years. Fee-based advisors, they live good. So it's weird that the commission gets demonized so much, and we'll go in depth more about why.
Not only add to that, as we're going to see in a minute, those same fee advisors, this is what's really interesting, that don't offer any other products other than their fee-based program, in some cases will make a whole lot more money charging fees on your money
way more
than we will if we
Make no mistake, a 1.5% fee is way more money than a 5 to 7% commission. I promise. Over 30 years of being a client, it's an insane difference. Like, commission's scary because you're thinking, oh no, whoever I'm doing business with is going to get a lump sum of money based on this transaction. Really, what matters is the performance of the investment. That's really what matters, is this financial instrument getting you your desired outcome? That's number one before you start going fee versus commission. But the only reason someone would want a commission over a fee is if they're starving right now. Okay? If we're going by fiduciary duty, there's going to be times where you honestly, and like no shortage of times, where you honestly recommend a commission-based financial instrument, because the fee-based is not appropriate for people sometimes. Sometimes the fixed thing is more appropriate than the managed money in the stock market. It's possible. It happens all the time. But there's this weird thing, this illusion that for whatever reason, fee-based, again, is just more trustworthy. And I get it. There's pros and cons to both, right? Like, there are bad advisors on the fee end and on the commission end, and they do different things. You're much more likely, I would say, to get sold a product for commission that you didn't need. So you have to be careful. But the products on the commission side are not innately worse than anything on the fee-based side. Just know this from the horse's mouth, as someone who does both, and as someone who prefers the fee, because that's going to help me retire when I'm 50. Commission's not. Let's keep going.
Charge a commission. Let's take a look at this. Now, this is an interesting example. What we did, we took someone who has a choice. They can work with a fee-based advisor, or they can work with a commission-based advisor. Now, we're unique at Tony Walker Financial because we're both. If we manage your money through Charles Schwab, we'll see this in a minute, we charge a fee of 0.8%. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, etc. If we sell commissionable products, which are insurance products like annuities, we get a one-time commission. So let's watch this play out. Go ahead, Derek. So in this example, we're going to imagine the money manager charges 1.5% in fees, the same money managers that says you should never buy commissionable products. And you have an option, though. You might say, well, Tony, what if I look at one of these annuities, something we call a multi-year guaranteed annuity? Is there any fee that I'm going to have to pay you or the insurance company for this annuity? The answer is...
Wait a minute. Am I just watching an ad for MIGAs?
No, there's no fee. Well, let's keep going, because you're going to be thinking, well, how do you get paid? Well, what about commissions? Well, obviously, under the fee program, the advisor charging 1.5% per year doesn't make a commission. In this case, on this particular product we're talking about, as a fiduciary, the insurance company, not you, the insurance company is going to pay us, in this example on this product, about a 2% commission. That's it, okay? We do not earn any fees on this product. Let's keep going, Derek. Now, we got to choose something here. So the reason I use 5% as a rate of return, because right now as we record this show on November 15th, 2022, we have annuities that are called MIGAs, multi-year guaranteed annuities. The length or the term of the annuity is 5 years, and they are guaranteed. And these rates do change. But right now, if you were to lock one of these in and put in $100,000, you can even do less, but let's say it's $100,000, the insurance company is going to guarantee you 5% per year, and there's no fee. Remember, they've paid us a commission, in this example, of 2% or $2,000. Assuming you keep the contract the full 5 years and don't surrender it, you're going to have no out-of-pocket cost. You don't pay the commission to...
Yeah, that's the thing. I just want to say something because I feel like I've been listening forever. A lot of the commission-based products, not all the time, there are always riders, but I'm thinking MIGAs, annuities, CDs, structured notes. A lot of them don't have a management fee. So it's a one and done kind of thing. So like when you really break down the math, you're going to pay 1.5% on, let's say you start with $1 million. That's going to grow over 30 years. Let's say you're 50. You give an advisor $1 million. It's going to grow between now and when you're 80. A lot, probably. And he's going to charge 1.5% on that every year. He's going to dollar cost average like 40% commission over the lifetime of the business, assuming he maintains your business. And a lot of advisors are lifelong relationships. A lot of client-advisor relationships last forever, and then go on to the children. And he's going to get 1.5% on that every year for as long as you are doing business with him. And if your kids, say you got like your kid's 50 when you pass away, keeps the advisor, or like in my case, my dad's the advisor, goes to the state, keeps it in the firm. Like you manage my parents' money, I want you to manage, or your dad managed my parents' money, I want you to manage my money. That's not uncommon. And you're going to keep that advisor, me or whoever, is going to keep getting that 1.5% ad infinitum. But if someone, let's say you bought an annuity with that $1 million and it was like a 7% commission, which is not uncommon. It's high. Whoa, you're gonna get $70,000 off my million? Yeah, once, versus like 15,000 for 40 years, 15,000 a year for 40 years. Like, it just doesn't. It's not as evil as it sounds. And again, really, as a fiduciary, on my end, as the advisor, it shouldn't matter. Like, I'm either going to get a lump up front or I'm going to get a sliver forever. Really, all that matters is this investment appropriate for you? Like, any good advisor is going to give you what their honest opinion on what's going to get you your goals, what's going to make the future you want happen, or at least give you the highest odds of your desired outcome happening. That's really what matters. And you can usually smell that on people. If you're talking to someone who just wants a commission, you can tell, because they're really trying to get you to just sign right now, ASAP. Come on, like, you don't have to. Don't even worry about the details, Mrs. Smith. Don't think about it too often. Don't hurt your brain over the, like. If I'm doing something commission wise, if I'm doing like an annuity, like a 10-year thing, I'm telling people, like, this is 10 years, right? Like, it's a plan that will, like, you do your best to make sure it's appropriate. And I get very few complaints. I get almost no complaints. I'm not going to say the complaints I have gotten are usually from kids who wanted access to the money, their parents' money, but no complaints from the parents. So, like, you just got to know what you're getting into. The fee thing is nice because it's so liquid, not all the time, but it's not a cut and dry thing. Really, you need to be focusing on the investments, and you need to make sure you have an advisor that's going to give you their best honest opinion on what's suitable for you and tell you all the ups and downs of whatever they choose, because everything has ups and downs. The best thing, the thing that could make or break one client's financial future, or the thing that can make one client's financial future might break another's. It really depends on the client, okay? It depends on what you need and what you're going for. And that's my tirade. There's ups and downs to both. One's not inherently more evil than the other, but one does make a lot more money in the long run.
That's the insurance companies does. Okay, let's keep moving. So let's assume that the advisor makes 5% on their account over the 5 years. It could be more, could be less. We're just trying to make things equal.
Here, let me put it to you this way, succinctly. And I might make another car example later. If I want a Porsche, I want commission clients. If I want to buy a Porsche GT3R, I want commission right now. If I'm trying to retire when I'm 50 and I'm about to be 27, I want fees coming out. So it depends, right? It depends on what your goals are.
Notice, this is what's crazy, and people don't realize this. Notice by them charging 1.5% per year over that 5 years, as this account grows, they're going to make more and more money. In fact, by the end of the 5th year, that advisor is going to make over $8,000 in fees. All right? While all along, for that same product we sold, we made $2,000. Now, granted, I'm happy to get the $2,000. I'm not complaining. But when we have a fiduciary over here charging these kind of fees and making that kind of money, and they're dogging this approach, I got to ask you, what's going on here?
I'll give you an example, real life example. I'm going to obscure the. Okay, so I know a guy he invested $1 million back, like, I don't know, 2012 or something, and he's consistently made $40,000. He's consistently made 4% profit. Takes that and has retained his $1 million lump sum in the market, eating fees, right? He's just eating the fees. I don't know what the fees are. Probably about 0.8 to 1.5%, and it's worked beautifully. It's not a bad plan, right? He takes the money he needs. He keeps his lump sum. He keeps his principal intact. It's beautiful. But the MYGAs this guy's talking about, funny enough that he's mentioning MYGAs. We had a MYGA a couple years ago that guaranteed 6% for 10 years. Now, this is not financial advice I'm giving you right now. this is just a case study, right? This is a couple years ago. This product isn't offered anymore. But this guy has been paying fees and exposing his principal to risk for 4% consistently over the past, since 2012 or whenever. And then this MIGA comes out at 6% guaranteed for 10 years, no fees. So get rid of your fees and give yourself a 50% bonus, my man. Like what's better? And I can't answer that. The client has to answer that. But for the parameters he set to be happy, for his goals, he should have taken the MIGA. Like, it's a no-brainer. If all you're trying to do is get 4% on $1 million, keep your million, live off the 4, and you got a fixed thing with no fees, no moving parts that guarantees 6% for 10 years, just take the 10 years, take the 10-year 50% bonus, my man. And yeah, so like, you know, I don't know what I'm getting at here. One's not worse than the other, I promise. It is not a clean-cut business. Financial instruments, investments, all that kind of stuff. It's not clear-cut all the time. Sometimes fixed stuff beats market, not in the long run, but you'll get some 10-year periods where like you could have been completely out of market risk, out of sequence of return risk, and beat all your friends in the market. It happens. Like I said, no one claims that, because on average, no, it does not happen. That doesn't happen on average. On average, you're better off in the market. But it depends on the phase of life you're in. If you're older, if you're not working anymore, like, there's fixed options that might suit you, funny enough. But anyways.
Folks, this is a crazy notion that people shouldn't consider commissionable products. As we've said earlier, it just depends on the situation at hand. But it gets worse, because a lot of people don't understand what these fees mean. They don't know how it affects their account. So we have to take this to its logical conclusion. And we're going to imagine now we're at the end of the 5th year, and you say, okay, Tony, that's all well and good. They had to take their fees. They had to get paid. You got a commission. You got paid. Does that really affect my pocketbook and what I have at the end of 5 years? Well, let's take a look. Notice this. FV means future value. So beginning in year 6, after all these fees are deducted, that $100,000 would be worth $118,000. Okay, not bad. But by having no fees and paying an upfront commission by the insurance companies, again, that doesn't come out of your pocket, look at the difference. You would have, what is that, over $9,000 more money in your pocket as a result of avoiding these fees. So you might be saying, Tony, are you saying that I should avoid fees at all costs? No, we're not saying that. What I'm saying is a fiduciary has to have no conflict of interest. The way we avoid conflict of interest, put this up full screen, Aaron, is by offering our split IRA concept. It's a unique concept that brings a lot of extra...
Okay, so I think that gets the point across. I think we're getting into advertisement land, but he got the point across. This is Tony Walker Financial on YouTube, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and like this. You should go check this guy out. But yeah, so there's not like a right and a wrong answer. Like, fees have their place. That's market investments. Market investments have their place. You do very well in the market in the long run. But to write something off based on the pay structure of the advisor is just, you're being silly. It's not, you need to factor in just the pure investment, and if it's going to help you get what you want. Everyone's going to get paid. Spoiler alert. This is an industry of money. It's all money moving. People are going to get paid. Just, you got to deal with that. You could do it yourself. If you can, I recommend it, by the way. You should absolutely do this stuff yourself if you can. But a lot of people can't and don't want to. I love my car analogies. I could change my water pump out, but I'm not doing that. I'm just not. I just don't feel like it. I could do it if I watched all the YouTube videos and bought the courses and looked at the blueprints and got my tools, and I'd mess up a couple times, but after a couple days I'd have that water pump changed and put back together. But I ain't doing that. And a lot of people feel the same way about their investments, and that's okay. You decide the hierarchy of things that take precedent in your life and what order they come in. You decide what your time is worth and where you want to spend it. And a lot of people don't want to spend it on YouTube watching day trading videos and trying to track Robinhood trades in their 60s, and that's fair. But you need to find the best thing. You need an advisor that's going to recommend the best thing, that's going to listen to what you had to say, and then think about it, actually think about it, and then give you an answer based on what you want and what you need. And you're also going to have an advisor that's going to help you crystallize the thoughts you have to determine what you really want, because people have generic answers that are not what they really want, and I promise, like, that's 90% of people, and that's okay. A lot of the first answers we get in meetings are just, they're the same first answers we get all the time, but the answers we get at the end of the meeting are individual and unique and really reflect people's situations and their goals. And pick a product accordingly. Don't be scared of a product because it's commission based. Don't walk away from something because you think a fee is unjustifiable. Figure out what it does for you, and then you decide with the help of a trusted advisor, not someone trying to get the Porsche. Because I use that example. You shouldn't have an advisor who's doing business just to get a Porsche. You can usually tell who that is. Just use a trusted advisor. Use your better judgment. Look these things up. If an advisor recommends something to you, Google it. You can come back later. You don't have to do anything right now. You go look it up and you decide if that's a good value. And just know that when a lot of financial content out there, at least the stuff I've watched, like even this, is basically an ad. He's basically pushing commission-based stuff. So you got to be able to separate wheat from chaff, figure out what's an advertisement, what's not, and you have to make the final say. At the end of the day, it's your money. You have to decide if this advice you're getting is good and if it's aligned with what your goals are. And you have to make character judgments on advisors sometime. And sometimes you got to shop multiple advisors. It's okay. It's part of the business. I love cars. If you're car shopping for a used car, the first one you find might not be the one you get. And that's okay. You might have to test drive a few before you find the one. So that's it. Commissions versus fees, there's not really an answer. They have their place, and you just have to determine what is best. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Go give Tony Walker Financial a look-see. Go show their page some love. He got the whiteboard out so I could just react to it for you. And yeah. So take care. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.